If he says, yeah, I can't see him. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Innal hamdulillah wahdahu wa huwa rabbul alameen wa ashhadu an la ilaha illa Allah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi. Amma ba'd. إن خير الكلام كلام الله وخير الهدى هدى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. Last week Sunday in the Abwab of Knowledge, our class week on Sunday, we dealt with the ruling concerning marrying women who are Christians or Jews, marrying women from Ahlul Kitab, the Yahuda, the Nasara, and keeping the continuity of the issue. Today, inshallah, we're going to deal with a prevalent common issue that people are in confusion concerning it, and usually it comes as a result of talking without knowledge and talking based upon emotions. And no doubt, emotions has its place in the deen, but a person's emotions, just like dreams, doesn't make halal haram or haram halal. You see a dream, it can have an indication for something, but it doesn't mean that a particular issue is this way or that way. So we have to have the ta'sil al-ilmi. We have to have a methodology to our existence. We can't make something halal because fulan so-and-so said it. My sheikh said it. My madhab said it. The newspaper said it. Someone comes and says to us, so-and-so did this and this and that. We're not going to make a move until we make a tathabbut. We have to find out. Yeah, but the one who told me was my father, my mother, my best friend, my wife. And the one that they said did it is my enemy. I can't take a position based upon that, for or against. I have to have a methodology to how I deal with things, how we deal with things. So in this issue, eating the meat of Christians, people speak based upon ignorance. People speak based upon emotions, how they feel, what they think. And the deen is not like that. Although a person's emotions can partly govern his own position, no problem. If you want to do that for yourself, fala ba's, no problem. But don't put that ruling on other people. So concerning eating the food of the people of the book and other than them, we have two ayat in the Quran. One is in Surah Al-Baqarah 172, and one is in Surah Al-Ma'idah, ayat number 5. You have to go back and check these ayats out. Inshallah, Brother Siyam Sima Dima, he's going to put it in the YouTube in our thing, so if anyone sees this, they can look at what we're saying right now, because I'm not going to translate all of them. But Allah Ta'ala mentioned the Quran in Surah Al-Ma'idah. حُرِّمَتْ عَلَيْكُمُ الْمَيْتَةُ وَالدَّمُ وَلَحْمُ الْخِنْزِيرِ وَمَا أُهِلَّ لِغَيْرِ اللَّهِ بِهِ وَالْمُنْخَنِقَةُ وَالْمَوْقُوذَةُ وَالْمُتَرَدِّيَةُ وَالنَّطِيحَةُ وَمَا أَكَلَ السَّبُعُ إِلَّا مَا ذَكَّيْتُمْ وَمَا ذُبِحَ عَلَى النُّصُبِ وَأَن تَسْتَقْسِمُوا بِالْأَزْلَامِ ذَلِكَ فِسْقٌ. This ayah tells us what we can eat and what we can't eat. Haram for you people to eat, you Muslims, is you can't eat an animal that is dead. You can't eat an animal that has blood in it. The blood was not pushed out or allowed to come out. He was hit in the head and he died. Electrocuted and he died. And once it dies, the blood is not coming out. If it's alive, after hitting him in his head, he's alive, electrocute him in the head, electrocute him, he's still going to have spasms and it's going to push the blood out. Haram for you to eat the dead animal, the animal that has blood in it, to eat the pig, to eat something that was slaughtered for other than Allah, to eat an animal that was strangled, to eat an animal that was gored to death by another animal, to eat an animal that fell off of a high place, broke his neck, his head, his back, and everything. He died like that. Haram for you is to eat an animal that has been slaughtered on altars, like the people of Quraysh Mushrikun, slaughter animals in the name of other than Allah. And to eat an animal that was devoured by wild animals, lions, tigers, bears. They ate them. Haram for you to eat that, unless you came and the animal that was dying, you were able to slaughter him before he totally died. The animal that is a prey, lion, tigers, bears, oh wow, any of those animals, eating them, you came and he ran away, you shot your gun, he ran away, and that animal is still in the throes of death, and you slaughtered him in that situation. If you do that, you can eat him. But if you came and he was dead, that means the meta, you can't eat it. So this ayat in Surah Al-Ma'idah clearly tells us the meat that we can't eat, because Abdullah ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, he said that this ayat is talking about what the kuffar of Quraysh used to allow for themselves, and so forth and so on. That's the first thing. There is ijma' between the ulama of Islam. You can't eat any of this stuff. And Allah mentioned the ayat of the Quran, ذَلِكُمْ فِسْقٌ. To eat any of this is fisq. Fisq is being like bad, disobedient. He's a fasiq, husaq, the criminals, the sinners. To eat that thing, something's wrong with your deen. To eat those kind of meat, something's wrong with you. Just to sit down and partake in that meal, whether you cooked it or somebody else cooked it, you can't eat it. To eat it is a sign your deen is a problem. Your deen is a problem. You're a sinner. You're a problem. So that's the first point. Now, if a person only looked at these things in the Quran and he said, this is all that we can't eat, we're going to say to him, no. Just like the other ayat of the Quran, very similar to this. حُرِّمَتْ عَلَيْكُمُ الْمَيْتَةُ وَالدَّمُ وَلَحْمُ الْخِنْزِيرِ. It's been made haram. The dead, the blood, the khinzir. There's a similar ayah, similar to that. حُرِّمَتْ عَلَيْكُمُ أُمَّهَاتُكُمْ وَبَنَاتُكُمْ وَأَخَوَاتُكُمْ. So forth. So haram for you to marry your mother, your sisters, your daughters, and all these other people. But although that ayat that I just mentioned about who you can marry, who you can't marry, there are people who have not been mentioned in that ayat from Surah An-Nisa, like your auntie. It's haram for a man to marry his mother's sister or his father's sister, but that's not mentioned in that ayat. So if a person says, I only take the Quran, I only take the Quran. Okay, if you only take the Quran, you won't marry those women, but your auntie, your khala, your amma, you're going to marry them? So in this ayat about the prohibition of meats, there are other things we can't eat. The Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, as our mother Aisha mentioned, she said that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam naha an kulli dhi mikhlab min at-tayr. Every bird that has talons, eagles, hawks, falcons, you can't eat those birds because they're birds of prey. And that's part of the meaning and the wisdom of the ayat about the meat. To this day, the Arabs, they have falcons. And I saw those falcons in the desert. I was in a tent in the middle of the desert, by Iraq and Ha'il, Saudi Arabia. And I went into the tent and I walked towards the falcon that I thought was a stuffed animal, and he was big, but he was standing still. And I walked towards him just to touch him, and he looked at me. And I didn't have no hammer or anything. I was just in the desert. I was just like, wow. And you can see why you can't eat those animals. That bird was a bird of prey. And eagles are big like that as well. So the Arabs use that bird to hunt whatever's in the desert. And that bird will get them, and they may start tearing them apart. As long as you get to him before that happens, you can eat that meat. But if the bird tears him apart, that's it. You can't eat it. So this hadith shows outside of the ayat, there are things that you can't eat, like birds of prey, falcons, eagles, and so forth and so on. He also mentioned, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that it is haram to eat كل ذي ناب من السباع فأكله حرام. Every single animal that is an animal of prey and it has fangs, like lions, tigers, bears, dogs, hyenas. We talked about this Masjid because some of the brothers wanted to go get alligators. Can we go eat them alligators? We explained. Some of the scholars say yes, and some of the scholars said no. One of the reasons they say no is because of those fangs, those things that they had. Others say yes, because everything in the water you can eat. Everything in the water is halal, and they're from the water. But the point is, any animal that has those talons and fangs, you can't eat them. Can you eat a cat? Rayan, cover up your knee bone. You can't eat any animal. So these are a hadith that come from the Sunnah that show us, Rayan, beware of the people who say philosophical, I only take the Quran. Well, if you're only going to take the Quran, you won't be able to practice Islam completely and correctly. You'll marry people who are haram for you. You'll eat what is haram for you. And the Sunnah explains the Quran. So you need the Sunnah of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam. Also from that, Ali ibn Abi Talib, Jabir ibn Abdullah, qala naha Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam yawma Khaybar an luhum al-humr al-ahliya. When the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam went to the place of Khaybar, and he dealt with the Yahud of Khaybar because they consistently broke their agreements and their contracts. He took over the place, and on that day he said, the domestic donkeys can't be eaten. But the donkey that's not domestic and he's running out there in the desert and he's running around like that, if you get him, you can eat him. But the domestic donkey can't be eaten. That's not in the Quran mentioned like that, but it is mentioned in the Quran. Anybody know the ayat is mentioned? Obey Allah and obey His Messenger. That's what the Messenger told us. That's what the Prophet told us, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's what he said. وَمَا آتَاكُمُ الرَّسُولُ فَخُذُوهُ وَمَا نَهَاكُمْ عَنْهُ فَانْتَهُوا. Whatever the Prophet gives you, take it. What he prohibits you from, leave it. So it is in the Quran. And that the hadith said that. The point, Rayyan, and the rest of you brothers, may Allah bless you all. Qulu Ameen. The point is, can't be a real Muslim talking about only going to take the Quran. You don't take the Sunnah. You have to take the Quran and the Sunnah, or you're not a real Muslim. You're not a real Muslim. I don't make takfir of you, but if a person says, if a person knows what he's saying, he goes outside of Islam. But I'm not making takfir of anybody. So those are the basis of what we want to start this thing off with concerning the meat of Ahlul Kitab, especially these Christians. And there's a lot more that can be said. For an example, the companion of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Abu Awfa, may Allah be pleased with me, said, I made 7 ghazawat. I fought in jihad with the Prophet 7 times, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And each one of those times, we ate the jarad. What's the jarad? The lotus, the crickets, the locusts, lotus, those locusts. One of the signs of Musa is that the locust came and it took over the land. Has anybody ever been in a locust storm? Brother, if you see the locust storm, you will swear Yom Qiyamah is about to happen. The whole sky becomes black. You can't even see the sun. And they're all over. And they be hitting you all over the place. And when you walk, they're all over the place. You walk, goes, and they're all over the place. One of the ayat of Allah, you have to be in it to believe it. But the Arabs used to look at that as a ni'mah from Allah. That those locusts would come and they would just